Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is 1:04 a.m. on this bewitching, beautiful Wednesday evening going into Thursday. It is currently 63 degrees outside, and I am mellow, yellow, chill. We've been watching American Horror Story. We watched 4 episodes tonight. We watched the 3 episodes to finish up part 1, and then we watched the first episode of part 2, which I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I will just tell you, the first episode of part 2 is so bizarre. I mean, not really like the whole thing, but some of it is kind of like way out there, but interesting nonetheless. And so yeah, and we got Maggiano's tonight. I was really upset because they didn't have the garlic bread. They were out of the garlic bread, which is like my favorite thing from Maggiano's. I wouldn't say I was really upset. I was just like, oh, disappointed, you know. But then, after I ate my salad, I got a little... Alex just got a Caesar salad with chicken, like an entree salad. I got a side salad. And Maggiano's side salads are so delicious. And they're pretty big. And it comes with... Well, it comes with bacon, but I don't get bacon on it. I get the bacon taken off. And it's just like iceberg lettuce cut up. And then it's like onions, I think. I don't know what else is in there, but there's avocado, and the house dressing from there is so delicious. But then after they still give you like these baguettes of bread with, you know, butter. After I've eaten my salad and a couple pieces of bread, I think I had like 3 small pieces of bread, I'm like done. I'm like, I wasn't even hungry for my pasta. So that was the first episode. By the 3rd episode, I got hungry again. So I made a cup of green tea with honey, which is kind of my thing now when I watch shows late at night. And then I heated up the rest of... I bought a pumpkin roll at Meijer. Probably like 4 or 5 days ago. I don't know how long ago it's been now, but it seems like it's been a while. So I had 3 pieces left. They were little pieces. They were just like these little pieces. And they were like this big. And I heated them up in the microwave for 25 seconds. And then I also had a couple of these pumpkin spice tea cakes that were really good. So that was tonight, and Alex literally just walked upstairs to go to bed. And I was writing down some Post-it notes and stuff. And then I said, I'm gonna go right now. If I had gone upstairs, because I was gonna like go upstairs and like lay down for like 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, that 5 minutes will turn into 5 o'clock in the morning, because I'm so mellow and chill right now. So I was like, I'm gonna go vlog, and I really want to finish my book tonight because I have less than an hour and a half to listen to, and it's really good. This one's called Scandal at the Salty Dog, which is the little town restaurant they all go to. And they think that somebody is stealing food from the Salty Dog, coming in after hours and stealing food and money and moving around furniture. But then there's also a break-in in town. And so, of this like old lady that she thinks she saw this pirate. It's all around like pirate lore and all this kind of stuff, because like the town was... Pirates Cove was founded by 8 pirates, I think. So it's all like the whole like series is done around these like pirates, and like the background of the story is like some of the families are descendants from the pirates and stuff like that. It's cute how they do it, but it was interesting because we were watching American Horror Story, and the first part of double feature this season takes place. It's called double feature because like there's 2 completely different storylines, and halfway through the season it stops and it goes into the second storyline. But the first storyline takes place in Provincetown, and Provincetown looks a lot like, and I've never been there, but in the show it looks a lot like how I imagine Pirates Cove to look. There's even like a scene where there's like a book reading, And the book reading looks like, because in Pirates Cove, the Murder of Pirates Cove series, that's not what the series is called. The series is called like Scrabble and Something series by Josh Lanyon. But he owns a bookstore in there called the Crow's Nest. I mean, it's all like nautical themes and, you know, like pirate theme stuff, like everything that's named something in there. Like all the restaurants and the stores and stuff are all named stuff like, oh, like ocean, nautical, pirate kind of stuff. So anyway, that was my evening. Alex got home tonight about 7:30, and I was finishing up some videos and stuff, and then when I got done, I ordered the Maggiano's, and I went and picked it up. We've ordered a Maggiano, or I should say I've ordered Maggiano's so much, because he doesn't always get anything from there, that the woman that works the curbside door that brings the stuff out, she like knows me now, and she's so funny. She's like, Peter, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. And she was like, I love when you come. She was like, your energy is so good. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. She was telling me funny stories about, because like when you pull up to Maggiano's, there's like a number, and you text the number, like you text like, okay, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or something like that, or I don't know, 8, 10, I don't know how many spots there are, right? So whatever spot you're sitting in, you text your last name and that number, and then they just bring your order out to that door. It's real simple. But apparently nobody does that except for me, I guess. And because she was telling me about how everybody tries to come in. It's like the back door, it's not the front door, it's like the side door thing. And I said, people try to come in there, and you know, I'm in sweatshorts and a t-shirt looking like hell. I look just like I do right now, so I'm not trying to go in anywhere, you know. And she said, right? She was like, I don't know why people wouldn't just want to stay in their car. I said, well, I think it's really nice that you guys bring things out here and whatever, you know. And I said, do people not see the sign? And she goes, nope, apparently just you and me. We're the only two that see the sign. I was like, okay. She was real funny though. So we sat there and talked for a little bit, and she was real sweet. My contact has been bothering me today. Just this left one though. Tomorrow I'm getting my hair cut at 1:15. And then I will make videos the rest of the day. I can't believe tomorrow's the last day of September. It's crazy. My front porch is almost done. My wreath that I ordered from Amazon came in the mail today. I'm not sure I love it. Like, it looks pretty, and it looks very fallish, but I know this is stupid, but like, okay, so I have two white mums, cream mums, and then I have 2 yellow ones, and then I have a burgundy one. And I was gonna buy, I might buy one more white mum, but I was gonna buy like another rust one and whatever else. And Melissa had she had 2 rust ones, or 2 purple ones. I can't remember what color. She said they were red. I think she meant rust. So I was like, well, I don't really want to like mix up the colors anymore. So I think I'm gonna get like one more cream mum because they're so pretty. But then when the wreath came, like online, it looked more yellow, the wreath. It's like all these leaves. I mean, they're fake leaves, but it did come in a really nice storage box. But it has like all these fake leaves on it. And so I thought it would be more yellow. Like on the pictures, it kind of looked more yellow, and it's definitely more orange. So I also want to get 2, I already have 2 white pumpkins. I want to get 2 orange pumpkins for either side. And then I think it'll tie it all in together. You guys, it was really sad tonight. There's this guy in our neighborhood, and he's a really, really nice guy, and I know him from just like him walking around the neighborhood with his dog and stuff like that, and he and I have talked quite a bit. Well, he's been really sick for the last year. This is like one of the big downsides of living in our neighborhood, where there's a lot of older people, and he's quite a bit older. And but I hadn't seen him this summer. I hadn't seen him in a while. And so I had seen his daughter, and I talked to his daughter. Well, I saw both of his daughters at one point, but I saw his daughter, and I was like, you know, how's your dad doing? I haven't seen him lately. And she was like, he's not doing well, he's really, really sick. Anyway, he's been sick for quite some time. Well, tonight I took the dogs out while we were in between episodes of the show, between shows, and, well, not between shows, but between episodes of the American Horror Story. And so I was taking the dogs out, and I could see, like, flashing lights, like, from a police car or from, like, an ambulance or whatever. And so I walked to the end of the driveway and walked out into the street, and it was in front of his house, and they were pulling somebody out. I couldn't see who they were bringing out in an ambulance, but the ambulance was, it was, like, silent, you know, it wasn't like they didn't have the sirens going off, and I never heard the sirens go off. I don't know, and then my neighbor came home after that. I was thinking it was a lot later than that, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was closer to 9, because my neighbor came home, and it was dark, and I was talking to her, and I said, oh my, you're getting home late? And she was like, I was hanging out with my daughter and my grandkids. And I was telling her that I had seen, and she goes, oh, I hope he's okay. So that was kind of sad. I realized I, like, don't really talk to people at all throughout the day very often. Like, I'll text a few people here and there, but, like, by and large, I just, like, today, literally the only people I talked to, well, I texted with Valerie, and, but, like, I called and talked to Tanya while I was getting my food at Maggiano's, like, on the way home. I called and talked to her, and then I saw Alex. Those were literally the only people that I talked to today. My cousin Caroline called, but I didn't call her back because she called late, and I was filming videos when she called. Somebody else called too. I can't remember who the other person was. I kind of go through phases where sometimes I like to talk on the phone, and other times I don't like to talk on the phone. Do you guys ever do that? Sometimes I'm just, like, not really into it. Anyway. So I got up today, and I was kind of just, like, running around the house, like, not doing a whole lot, making lists of stuff that I'll probably never do. I've been, like, really good about typing up a list every day, but some days I don't even print it out. I just, like, know what's on my list. But today I actually got a lot of stuff accomplished. And finally, so I filmed a drama video, and did I film the Peterisms video first? No, I filmed a drama video, and then I started uploading it. And then I went and I got coffee, and I did a review video at Starbucks. And then I did, I just wanted to kind of, like, talk about the TV shows that I was watching. So if you're interested in all the TV shows I'm watching right now, I did a Peter Does Stuff video, and I literally went through and talked about all of the different shows I'm watching right now, and which ones I'm most anticipating and things like that. It was kind of like a mini vlog. And then I came home and I filmed a Peterisms video while I was uploading all of that. And I uploaded my vlog last night, which I think I'm gonna just start doing, like, when I get home tonight. If I can render it, like, the rendering doesn't take very long. That takes like 10 or 15 minutes. So when I get home, I'll just render it, and then I'll watch a couple minutes of a TV show, like 15 minutes of a TV show, which I'm really into The Last Man right now anyway. I started that last night. I've been wanting to watch another episode today. Ow, just bit my tongue. So what I will do is, when I get home, I'll render it, and I'll watch, like, 15 minutes of an episode before I go to bed. 15 or 20 minutes. And then I'll just upload it and go to sleep. That way it's uploading overnight, and by the time I wake up, it's ready to go. So then I can post it between, like, 5 and 6. So I will be posting my vlog on the days that I remember between 5 and 6 from now on, but I'm going to try to be more consistent about that. Because sometimes that's a video that, like, takes me an entire day to upload. I don't know why. I really don't understand why it's taking me so long, but I'm going to start doing that. I was actually going to go down this way and then turn around and double back around, and I didn't do it. I just kept on driving. I don't know why. I've been like so calm and peaceful all day today. It was like beautiful outside today, but very fallish. And the leaves are even already changing, some of them, which is really weird that it's early in October and it's just the tops of the very tallest trees are changing. But some of them are changing already. And I did notice that like a lot of people in our neighborhood and outside of our neighborhood already have like the pumpkins and the mums and the stalks of hay and stuff like that. So it was time, you know. I think the front porch looks beautiful. It makes me very happy to sit out there. It feels very clean. I don't know how to explain it. And now I can start counting down to summer. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. We have 8 months until summer. Do you know the sad part about that though is that as you get older and you start counting down like the days to summer or the days to Christmas or the days to, you know, the months to summer, it's like, okay, but 8 months also equals almost an entire year, you know, and by the time that 8 months has rolled around, well, there's been another year of my life, you know. It's like, I don't know that I want to necessarily count time down out like that, you know what I mean? So, oh, I brought a Diet Coke too. I brought Diet Coke and my coffee, because I got my coffee late. I got it at like 4 or 5 or something like that. Because like I said, I was doing stuff at home, and then I did the drama video, and then I left. I've been thinking so much of my mom. I've been thinking so much in the last couple of days of people that have passed. Specifically my mom and Pee-Pee. And what's weird about that is I know this is going to sound strange, but it's like I feel their energy around me. Like, I really have felt like Pee-Pee like around me lately. It's like the strangest thing. I remember when my mom was in the hospital and she went into a coma and she was like real, and I mean, I can remember like the night that like I knew it was bad. And I came home and I can remember just like curling up in a ball in the bed and bawling my eyes out. And that was literally like, there's a Thrifty Threads over there. I didn't know that. And until like my mom passed, that was like the most emotional that I was through the entire process. Like, it's like I don't know if this will make sense or if anybody else has gone through that before, but it's almost like I got all of my tears out that night. And the weird thing is, I like really felt like my grandma was there, my mom's mom, kind of saying to me, like, prepare yourself. Like I knew that like she wasn't gonna make it, but I felt like it was like my grandma telling me that, which was like the weirdest thing. And recently I have been like so protective of like the safety of like my dogs, and like, you know, I've been saying to Alex and things like, be very, very careful, and, you know, and to Tanya and things like that. It's almost kind of like I feel like, I hate saying this, I hate putting this out in the universe, but it's almost like I feel like somebody's gonna pass. I mean, I'm no psychic, but it's just like, I just have a weird feeling. Like, it's very similar to how I felt when my mom was sick in the hospital. I'm like, I just knew that she wasn't gonna make it. And I can remember the feeling that I had was almost kind of like my grandma was saying to me, like, get yourself ready, because this is gonna be hard that you're gonna go through your mom passing. It was like I kind of knew that. Isn't that weird that I feel that way? I hate saying that. I hope it's not true, you know? I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really have that many people left. also like, you know, like, okay, this is gonna sound strange probably, but like, this has been a really tough year sobriety-wise for me. Like, and it really involves a lot of people that I've never talked about on this channel, and I would not talk about them even in this manner. But I've lost friends this year, and not because they passed away, but I lost friends that went back out, and I lost, you know, friends that have continued to relapse over and over and over again. I wouldn't say lost them, but like, our friendships have changed, if that makes sense. You know, it's like they're more focused on, you know, going to meetings every day, and it's kind of like they're at the beginning of their recovery, and so our relationships have changed. We still talk, you know, and we're still there, but I've had a couple friends of mine that have decided to go back out. I should say I have a couple friends that went back out. I don't think maybe it was, well, it was, sure, it was a conscious decision, okay? But I have a couple friends that went back out, and then I have a couple other friends, acquaintances that their life has become consumed with using again. And I try to stay in touch with them, you know, and one is pretty good about continuing to stay in. The thing is, our relationship is just so different because, I mean, he and I met like when we were both sober. So now that he's not, it's just hard. It's just hard. It's been a hard year, you know? And I think a lot about that, like coming up on October, you know, it's like, I think a lot about like October, November, December, that we've got 3 months left of this year, and like 2021, and what's, you know, what has 2021 been about? I think for me, it's been a lot about nesting. It's been a lot about finding my home again, finding my center, finding what, you know, makes me feel very blessed and grateful in my life. One of the things that's hard is when I think about those people that I don't see the way that I did before, you know, and we're not going to dinners or, you know, running around and all that kind of stuff, or I don't see them at meetings or whatever, you know, it's hard. And at the same time, as I'm thinking about them, the counterpart to that is how grateful I am for my sobriety, right? But it's hard to be grateful for your sobriety when at the same time you've lost relationships as a result of that. You know, I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of this back and double-edged sword. And so it's like when I think about how grateful I am, and I think about, there's like this spider crawling down the windshield, this like white spider that's like right in the middle of my windshield. When I think about how grateful I am for my sobriety and how grateful I am for my life, and Alex and the dogs and Tanya, my sponsor, and you guys, and being able to make YouTube videos and listening to audiobooks and podcasts, and just, you know, this amazingly simple life that I have. This amazingly, you know, my sponsor and I were talking at length about that the other day, that I love nice trips, I love nice things, all of that's great, right? But it's the simplicity of life that really where what matters lies, you know? And I think I didn't just learn that this year, I think I've been learning that, but I think I really put that into practice this year. And, or tried to, at least, I guess, I don't know. And, I just have a lot of people I worry about. I have a lot of people that I love and I care about, that I worry a lot about, you know. I 2 friends that, you know, went back out and came back in and got started over tokens and are doing fantastic. You know, I also have my small group of friends that Tanya and I hang out with and go eat dinner with and, you know, get coffee with or whatever, you know, that like are doing fantastic. Oh, it's out of focus. Hold on. So, I mean, there's also that, and I guess it's your perspective of how you choose to look at things. Come on now. I guess it's your perspective on how you choose to look at things, you know, and I just know that the road gets narrower as you get older, and I don't know that I even necessarily understand that saying, but I feel like all the people that I love say that on a regular basis. I do know what it means, but it's like, it's just not so broad, it's not so big, you know, it's like, life gets more simple, and, you know, it's not such a great mystery as you get older. Which maybe that's why people that are older, you know, that have lived a good life are not afraid to die. I've never really understood that. Like, you know, I can remember Caroline talking to my aunt the day that she moved into hospice, which was the day that she passed. Well, it was the day before she passed away. And Caroline said to her, you know, like, aren't you afraid to die? And my Aunt Kathy said, no. She said, you know, like, I won't be in pain anymore. And she said it very calmly. It wasn't like she was, you know, but she's like, I won't be in pain anymore, and I'll get to see Grandma again. This camera tonight is driving me crazy. I don't know why it's doing this. Come on now. There's like a box, and you like focus the box on where you want it to go. But she was like, you know, I won't. She's like, I'm not scared. And she said, and you know, I'll be with Grandma and I'll be with Peter's mom, and you know, and we'll wait to see you one day. And God, it's just like, I feel like this idea of trusting God keeps on coming up over and over and over again, right? Like, I just guess I don't know, you know, like, I would love to say that, and I believe that. I believe in an afterlife, and I believe all of that, but like, coming right down on the wire and saying, like, I'm ready to go, like, no, I don't feel that way. Like, I don't. Like, I don't know. It scares me. And, but I think that that's probably a mixture of great fear, of great faith instead of fear, and maybe just a preparedness to go. I don't know. I know that when my aunt passed away, she was in a lot of pain. Like, she could hardly breathe from lung disease, you know, it was bad at the end. So I don't know, maybe that was part of it. I don't know. I was in a really great mood all day today. What's happened? Why am I talking about such sad stuff? My Lord. Peter. That sounded like my Aunt Kathy. She would call me up and she would say, Peter, it's your Aunt Kathy. Say hi, Aunt Kathy. Oh, I miss her. It's weird in life when you just accept the fact that people are always going to be there, and then like one day they're not, you know? Especially like with friends of mine, I think sometimes, and I don't really talk that much about this on here, but it's like with friends of mine that like this, like the phone call thing happens to me on a pretty regular basis, where I'll think like, this has been happening with my mom lately. I think that's why I've been thinking about my mom. Like, oh, I would love to pick up the phone and call my mom and be like, you should see these moms, or, you know, like, oh, I ran into so-and-so, because I ran into somebody, you know, the other day on the street, and it's like, those are the things that I would love to like call my mom and tell her about, right? But like in that, there is like a second where I forget that she's gone. I mean, it's literally like 1,000th of a second, and then I'm reminded quickly that she's not here, you know. But it's like that with friends too. I think about like, and maybe not just friends that have passed away. Okay, it stopped. Not just friends of mine that have passed away or, you know, but like friends of mine that nothing really happened, just life came between us, you know? Like, I feel like that happens a lot. You think it won't, you know? It's like you think that, oh, I moved to a different neighborhood or a different apartment or across town or got into a relationship or switched jobs or, you know, whatever, you know, or they do, you know, or they get in a relationship or have kids or switch jobs or move, you know, sometimes cross country and whatever. It's like those things happen, and then before you know it, it's like, it's been like, you know, like this friend of mine that she was a year behind me in high school, and we were dear, dear friends for many, many years. I still love her to this day. And she and I had the same birthday, and she graduated a year behind me. And we were so similar in ways. And she went to school in Bloomington, and then she moved to Portland. And we would talk. We would talk a couple times a year, 3 or 4 times a year. And then, you know, when she would come home, I would go pick her up when she was staying at her mom's house, and we'd drive around, or we'd go get dinner or whatever. You know, this was in late 20s or early 30s even. And then it started going to, we would talk twice a year, you know? And it'd always be like, are you coming home for the holidays? Happy birthday. Those were like the 2 conversations. Then she stopped coming home for holidays. Stopped coming home at all. That's happened to a lot of my friends, that they, like, you know, when I would stay here and then they would move away, because most of my friends from high school moved away. Most of my friends from my younger years have all moved away. And so they would come home for a while, but like my friends that were twins whose dad passed away, there's no reason for them to come home here anymore, you know? My friend that lives in Oakland, she's been coming home recently for just some kind of like, just reasons that, not like family and things like that. Her family's not here, you know? Her granny lives in Arizona with her uncle, and her brother lives in Mexico now. It's like she, you know, she doesn't, there's no reason for her to come here, and, you know, like, except for to see people. And so this summer was for that reason. And then she came here, a month ago, just for some other things. And she never rarely comes here anymore. She'll with quickness say, Indiana's not my home anymore, you know? It's not. The Bay Area is my home. And, I mean, she's been there for a while. She's been there for 10 years, 10 plus years, you know? And I've got other friends of mine that have moved all over the place. And, you know, then my friend that in Portland, she and I started, you know, just talking to each other on our birthdays, calling each other on our birthdays and wishing each other happy birthday. And then I remember the year that like 3 days went by, and I happened to just like check my Facebook Messenger. I had completely forgotten to call her, and I checked my Facebook Messenger, and she had messaged me and said, hey, happy birthday, didn't get a chance to call, or something like that. And I can remember thinking to myself, this is gonna be one of the last times we ever talk. Like, I just kind of knew that, like, in our lives at that point, like, I didn't know the players in her life, you know? I have friends of mine from my past that have never heard me ever mention the name Tanya. Like, they have, I mean, that's so bizarre to me that, like, my old roommate that I used to live with that lives in Berlin now, I mean, she's watched some of my vlogs, so she probably knows who Tanya is, but she's never met Tanya. You know, I can remember she was still living here right before, she was living with her brother and her sister-in-law, and right before I met Tanya was the last time that I saw her. I remember we saw each other at the library, and she was driving a new pickup truck, and that was the last time that I saw her. And then she moved, and you just never know, you know, the last time that you're going to talk to somebody, or the last time you're going to see them, or and like I said, it's not just with people passing away, it's like life comes between those relationships too, and you think, it just got really hot in here. And you think, like, I'm going to be talking to these people forever, but that's just not necessarily the case. Like, there are people in my life that I, honest to God, cannot tell you the last time that I saw them, but I can tell you that I know for a fact whenever it was, I didn't think that would be the last time that I saw them, you know? Although I do remember this. When we all graduated from high school, it ended up being me and my friend that I had known from kindergarten. You know, the one that kindergarten, elementary school, junior high, high school, college, and undergraduate and graduate school. We went through all that together. She and I were the only two that stayed here besides her boyfriend. Now, we have another friend of ours that came back after, I think it was a year. I used to think it was a semester, but I think it was a year. She came back. And she started going to IUPUI too, which was Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. But I remember the last night before my friends that were twins went to Bloomington. And we all went over to their house, and I like that artwork in there. And they had these big trunks, and they had Grateful Dead stickers all over them. And because their music style had kind of changed by then, and they were being more hippie-ish and whatever. And we were all over there. It was like our group that had hung out together all through high school. And I've always had a hard time with endings. Like, I don't know if it's attachment issues. I don't know what it is, but I've always had a hard time with endings. Like, I can remember the day that we graduated from high school. Not our graduation, but the day that we graduated from high school. I can remember walking out of that school, as much as I hated it, as much as I never wanted to see some of those people again. I can remember walking out of that school and being like I had to get to my car because I was so super emotional. Because I was like, I'm never going to see some of these people again, and I've known these people for 12 years. Like, I've known these people my whole life, some of them, you know? Not everybody was horrible to me in high school. A lot of people were people that I laughed with and had inside jokes with in classes, you know? Like, I mean, it wasn't like I was a complete outsider. I mean, I went to the same school for 12 years. There were people that were nice to me. And I can just remember thinking that way. And what was so weird was when I left my elementary school, I was a crossing guard. And I can remember going in and, you know, with the crossing guard teacher or whatever, I can remember, like, helping her, like, with all the students cross for the day, the last day. And then I had to, like, go inside and take my crossing guard thing, and everybody else had left, like the teachers and stuff, and all the students had already walked home. And I remember, like, walking back across that street for, like, the last time. I don't know why this is getting me so emotional. And I was like, this is the last time that I'm ever going to be at this school. Like, what 10-year-old thinks that? Like, that's so weird, you know? Like, what 10-year-old is, like, that emotional about, like, leaving a school? It's just, like, the weirdest thing. And I never told anybody things like this until years and years and years later. You know, I talked to a sponsor, or I talked to but even, like, a lot of my sponsors didn't really understand it, you know? Now, my counselor did when I talked to him about it. But it's like, I've always felt like this kind of, like, this weirdness at saying goodbye to things, you know? And I remember that day walking home from that Mohawk Trails Elementary School and thinking to myself, this is it. This is the last time that I'm ever going to be here, you know? And that was how I felt that last day of school, too, because I can remember I had a lot of friends that were juniors. I had a couple friends that were sophomores, but I had several of my friends were juniors when I graduated. I had a girlfriend, too, at that point. Well, I think we had broken up at that point. We got together maybe, like, for like, another week or two, and then we broke up again. And we both ended up coming out the following year. So, well, I came out like a month later, but, yeah, we would have been broken up by then. We broke up way early in that semester, I think. But I had several friends that were juniors, and our last day was a Wednesday. And then they had to go to school Thursday, Friday, and then our graduation was Friday night. And I remember all of my friends after graduation, like, my mom had this, like, she had like cake and stuff back at the house with like my aunt and uncle and cousin, and then like presents and whatever, you know, and then she had, it was real small, and then I remember my mom's aunt and uncle came. I don't know why she invited them. I still to this day think that's so weird when I look back on that. I mean, I think that was like maybe the second time I'd ever seen them in my entire life, but anyway, she invited them for some reason. Anyway, I think because my grandma wasn't around. And then, but like my dad didn't come to that or anything like that. And it was just us, right? And then she was like, are you going to go do something with your friends? And I can remember that like all of my friends were going to somebody like that we were friends with. His grandma had a farm out in the middle of nowhere where everybody would go and like smoke weed and get screwed up and whatever. And I never went out to that farm, but I remember they were all going out there because there was going to be like this huge party. And then there was also like this after party at the junior high, like an after, like that the school had put on. And I think I went to that with like my friend. It was like me and my friend that lived up a street from me. She and I were real close. And then it was this friend of mine that was a junior. I think the three of us hung out. And I think we went to that, like my friend and I went to that like seniors only thing for a little while. And then like walked in and walked out or something. I can't remember. And then I remember, and I do remember people like at graduation being nice to me. Like I thought they wouldn't. And I can remember people being like, you know, like, I don't know why that upsets me so much. But I remember some of these guys that have been such asses to me being like, you know, good luck, Peter. I thought, like, really now? Like, after all this time, you've been, like, such an asshole to me all this time, but now you're gonna wish me luck, you know? But I remember, like, my friend, she always had to be home, like, early. And, like, we used to, like, hate it, too, because she had to be home at, like, 10, and we'd, like, just get out, and she'd be like, well, I have to go home because of my curfew. And we're like, girl, your curfew sucks. But I don't remember why, but I can remember that night, like, I didn't want to be out. Like, I just wanted to be home. I just wanted to be at my home. Like, it was just like all of the, I don't know why I'm so emotional tonight, guys. I just feel like I've been going through something the last couple days. And literally, I'm not going through anything. I don't know what it is. I have no clue what is making me so emotional the last couple days. But I can remember I just wanted to be at home with, like, my mom. Like, I didn't want to be out at a party. I didn't want to do any of that kind of stuff. I kind of just wanted it to, like, fade from, like, it was, like, so bizarre to me that, like, I was graduating. I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but it was, like, so weird to me. I'm like, like, all I know is being in school. Like, what now? Like, I didn't know how to grow up. I didn't know what was next. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and I didn't feel like anybody had taught that to me. And I, quite frankly, was scared. I really was, which I think is why, you know, I moved out shortly after that. And I think that's why my drinking, like, my drinking was always bad, but I really think that's why it, like, just catapulted and just got even 10 times worse once I moved into an apartment, because I think I was so afraid of, like, of what I was supposed to do. And then I signed up for college classes, and it just kind of took care of itself, you know. And then I was in college, well, still with no direction, you know, and what I meant to say was really was still no direction, having no clue what I was doing with my life, and just putting one foot in front of the other. And then I got sober, you know, and I think I can remember I had this roommate in treatment. This was after I went through detox. I had this roommate in treatment, and he just was kind of crude and crass. I don't even know how specific to get into it about it, but, like, he would sit there and he would, like, we would say, okay, so our rooms were, like, you walked in, there was, like, a sink, and then, like, to the left was the toilet, like, in a separate room with a shower. And then when you, like, walked into the room, it was, like, bed, desk, chair. There was, like, a bed, And then there was like, in front of the bed, there was like a desk and a chair on the wall, right? With like this huge armoire kind of thing. Very basic though. And then there was like a table in between the two beds. And then there was another bed next to the window and next to the heater that was like underneath the window. And then desk, chair, and this like big armoire thing with drawers in it, and you could hang your clothes and stuff. And then there was this huge window. Our window overlooked the back, which at that time was, because we were having like blizzard conditioned snows, it was like just really like big snow, like it was like mounds, like it looked over the area that was not built up yet. So there was like a pond out there, and there was like hills and stuff, and it was on this campus, but it had all this snow coverage over it. It was very pretty. And then in the distance was the interstate, which you could hear at night. But anyway, he would do crass stuff. Like, he would get into bed and want to get off and be like, hey, why don't you do this with me? And I'd be like, no, I'm good, you know? And so he'd be over there doing his business, and it just made me real uncomfortable. I didn't like it. And it wasn't anything like sexual. I mean, he was a super straight guy. It just was very uncomfortable for me. And then he would sit there, and at the desk, I don't know why this is funny to me. I look back on this, but because we could smoke in treatment, we could smoke outside. He would, in detox, you could smoke inside, but on the rehab unit, you had to go outside, and it was outside the cafeteria, and it was down by, like, the gym was down this way, and then the cafeteria was over here, and it was this courtyard that was in between. And I remember it had all these sayings on all the windows of the cafeteria, like, keep it simple, stupid, you know, one day at a time, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. It had all the slogans, you know, the recovery slogans. So, oh my God, Karma Records is still there? I probably say that about once a month, don't I? But anyway, so it would be real late at night, like after they had done bed checks and stuff like that, because they would do bed checks like on the residential unit, the rehab unit, they would do bed checks like once every 4 hours or something. So, because it wasn't I mean, it was a lockdown facility, but you could leave. Like, you could say, I'm checking my sign. What is going on tonight with this? This is driving me crazy. But you could sign yourself out. If you said, I don't want to be there, you could, you know, just say, I don't want to be there. Tanya has some really funny stories, actually, about that, because we were at the same place. So Tanya and I have the same counselor. At the time that I was there, which was like a year before Tanya was, a year and 2 months before Tanya was. I got sober a year and 2 months before Tanya. And the counselor that I had, obviously, was the men's unit counselor. And they split it up into, like, people that, like, were mostly alcohol. And then that was, like, the red group. And then the blue group was, like, anything else but not alcohol. Like, you didn't drink. So the red group was like alcohol and any other kind of drugs. So that was me. And then the blue group was people that just specifically used drugs. So my counselor was counselor for the red group. And I don't know how I remember what color I was, but I do. And but by the time Tanya got there a year and 2 months later, she had moved over and was a women's counselor. Which the entire time that I worked there, she was a women's counselor. Well, at the end, she worked in the Access Center, and she was in charge of the Access Center. But for much of the time that I was there, working there, she was a women's counselor. And so Tanya and I both have the same counselor, and we love her to this day. So anyway, isn't that funny? But Tanya has all these funny stories because Tanya didn't know that you couldn't just sign yourself out. She thought, like, literally, like, I'm going through those double doors and I'm just going to push through them and be like, I'm out of here. All time. People thought that all the time. It's like, okay, it's a lockdown facility. Like, you have to tell somebody that you're leaving. But, like, if you try to leave, they're not going to stop you. Like, it's not, you know, a lockdown psychiatric facility. It's a treatment facility. So anyway, but he and I would sit at those desks, and he would be like, let's smoke. And I would just kind of do it because I wanted a cigarette and because he did. And then he would, like, as soon as somebody came by the hallway, oh, God, I just bit my tongue again. Oh, dang it. He would stub it out in his desk drawer. And I can remember he got in trouble for, I think, like, smoking in the room or something. I can't remember what he got in trouble for, but something, he got kicked out. Maybe used it. I think somebody brought him something in or something. I can't remember, honestly, what he got kicked out for, but he got kicked out. And I can remember the nurse said to me that because it was so close to Christmas, that anybody that came in at that point would probably come in on the detox unit. So I wouldn't be getting anybody else. They wouldn't be getting anybody else in the rehab unit over Christmas and New Year. So I had the room to myself. And I can remember standing in their door. My dad had brought me all these clothes. This was like the weirdest thing too. My dad like went in my closet and like brought all the clothes that I never wore. Like he brought like, I can still see it. It was like this orange and gray flannel shirt. And it was like a shirt that like I never wore. And he brought me like shoes, like boots that I never wore. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like I had to wear all these clothes. I mean, it wasn't like I was gonna call my dad and be like, well, you brought me the wrong clothes, you know? So I had to wear these clothes that didn't like, I don't know. It just, he just threw a bunch of stuff in a suitcase probably. I don't know. He was nice. My dad was very sweet about the whole thing. Because he was so angry. He didn't have to bring me anything, you know? Anyway, I remember standing there in that room and I could see, because there's like lights on the top of the building, you know? So outside, they would turn the lights off in the back when we all went to bed, but it was probably like 10 o'clock at night and I could see the snow falling and it was like really snowing hard. And I can remember I walked into my room right after she had told me that and I opened his desk drawer and there was all these cigarette burns. I don't know why. Isn't it weird the things you remember? Isn't that so weird? I wonder where he is today. Yeah, I had some not so great experiences in treatment. I mean, I had some fantastic experiences, but I had some not so great experiences too. I remember there was this guy, we were like the same age, and I remember he had like this really bright like Ralph Lauren coat. It was like one of those puffy coats. I used to have one when I was a kid, and it was like one arm was red and blue and the other arm was like yellow and green or something, you know, yellow and red or something. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? What is going on with this stupid camera tonight? Oh my gosh. I think it's like I'm going in and out of the darkness and the light. Into the light, Carol Ann. But anyway, I remember we were like kind of got friendly. And there was this other guy that was in there. And I remember like he had been in there like several times before. And I can remember thinking like, he was like real effeminate. And I can remember thinking like, oh, there's like another gay guy in here that I can be friends with. But he was like married to a woman and she brought him like, and he was like, yeah, I don't go to group and I make sure that my wife brings me Diet Coke. And it was like, I don't know why I remember that, but like he had this huge case of Diet Coke and I can remember because I would like go get him to go smoke. And so I would like, because we were all like, the three of us were kind of the only ones that were like similar in age. Like they were in the other group. They were in the blue group. My group was like all guys that were a lot older than me. And they had all just like checked in from the factory because they all worked downtown at like Rolls-Royce and General Motors and things like that. And so they would come in like once a year because back then in their insurance policies, they got 30 days of treatment written into their policy. So if they got in trouble for at work, like smoking pot on the job or drinking on the job, which that happens at a lot of factories, then they could just sign themselves in for 30 days. And a lot of them would see it as a vacation. I know that because they told me that. They would say, this is my 30-day vacation at the end of the year. They loved it. They couldn't believe it. They were so happy about it. Anyway, unfortunately, insurance policies aren't like that as much today. So Allison's, that's what I was trying to think of what it was called. My uncle worked for General Motors his entire life. He went to General Motors University. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know anybody else that went to General Motors University. Well, his friend Did his friend go to General Motors University, or were they in the military together? I think they were in the military together. Was my uncle in the military? Was he in the army, or was he in the National Guard? I mean, I know it's still serving, but it's not like going away. I feel like he was in the army. Yes, because I've seen the pictures. Yeah, I can see him in his uniform in my head. But he worked for General Motors, but the plant in Indianapolis is called Allison. Those guys were so nice to me. They were so nice to me, the guys that I was in treatment with. But anyway, this guy that I thought was gay, but he wasn't. And he'd say things too. He'd be like, everybody thinks I'm gay. I don't know why everybody thinks I'm gay. My wife loves me so much. He'd say stuff like that. And then he'd be like, oh, I have to have a Diet Coke. Hold on a second. It was always about the Diet Coke. And she brought him this huge case of Diet Coke, and he kept it in the corner, and he'd be real upset if, like, his roommate tried to drink his Diet Coke and stuff like that. We had these bins at the nurse's station where they would hold your stuff. And, like, I can remember, like, they kept a carton of cigarettes in there for me. Oh, but I got some bad stories with all of that. I got into a fight with my dad on the phone, and he wouldn't bring me anything, and he brought me clothes, and he wasn't bringing me anything that was habit forming, and then I had to beg a friend of mine to drive in the snow to bring me Michael Crichton books. I was such a spoiled brat. I wanted Michael Crichton books, I wanted Shampure from Aveda, because I went to an Aveda salon, and I wanted a carton of, I smoked Camel Wides back then. Camel Light Wides or Camel Wides? I think just Camel Wides. Do you guys know what those are? They come in a real big, thick pack. My friends and I, we all smoked them at that time. I don't know why. But anyway, that was like actually the first cigarette that I consistently smoked too, was Camel Lights when I was in high school. It wasn't the first cigarette that I ever smoked, but it was the first cigarette that I smoked consistently and like bought for myself and things like that, which is so weird looking back on that. But, yeah, and that other guy, he was like a big dealer in town, I remember. Or at least he told me he was. And he'd tell me all these stories. And I can remember he was like cute guy. Like real dark hair, and he was real cute. And he had been in treatment a couple times before. And I remember he got in like a huge fight with his family at visitation. And I had like asked my family not to come, and then the other half of my family and friends did not want to come. I actually had 3 friends that did come. 2 of my closest guy friends came, I think on Christmas Day, and another friend of mine came. But I'm like thinking back about those friends of mine. Do you know what's interesting is that all 3 of them are still around today, and only one of them is real, and we all used together back in the day, and only one of them that I'm aware of is still real into the drug scene. But there's like really no scene anymore anyway, you know? But I remember they were really supportive, my 2 guy friends. My one friend was the guy that I talked to a couple years ago after like 15 years, and it was like no time that had gone by. My mom loved him, but I will say he was literally like my right-hand man when it came to like drinking and partying. Like we drank so much together. We had some wild times. He's a really good person though, like a really, really good person. And you know what is interesting is I always say that nobody learned anything from what I went through, but I will say that I think that he might be one person that actually did, because after I got sober, like he exited the scene. Like he stopped going out. He started, like not right away, but like within the next 2 to 3 months, he started working really hard. He graduated from college. He went to graduate school. He like moved to the other side of town, bought a house. Like he's completely out of all of that. And I think that to some degree, like what I went through, because he witnessed it so closely, because I know he was scared that I was going to die. I know that because he had told me on several occasions. I think that that was like a big deal for him. I think it did affect him in some way, you know? Anyway, I met a couple people in treatment that I wonder where they're at today. I'm like, where am I at on time? I cannot see. But I feel like I've got about 15 seconds maybe. But I'm like, where are those people at today, I wonder, you know? The guy with the puffy jacket came through like 2 years after that when I was working there. It stopped. Sometimes that would happen, like, because I ended up working there, you know, for 13 years. So, like, a couple years after, people that I had been in treatment with, they would come through there. But not very often did it happen. It happened with this woman, like, way later, like 5 or 6 years later. And she didn't remember being in treatment with me, and we talked a lot when we were in treatment together. And she didn't remember talking to me. She was like, she had no clue who I was. But I will tell you one thing that was always really sad for me was to see people come back in and to see how much worse their lives were, you know, after they had left and gone back out. This guy just ran a red light. He has like no patience. I mean, yes, I understand that both exits are like closed off, but still, it's a red light, nonetheless. Tanya and I were talking about that last night, about how, like, when I got out of treatment, like, and I've talked about this on here a lot, like, it was just like, it was enough for me to, like, make my bed every day. Like, still today, it's weird, like, when I make the bed, because I've been making the bed, like, every day really nice, with, like, putting the extra pillows and stuff up there and all that kind of stuff. And what's weird is that, like, that was, like, the growing up stuff. Like, I think, like, okay, this is what I wanted to say earlier. Like, making the pot of coffee, cleaning the kitchen, vacuuming the carpet. After I got sober, my apartment was spotless. Probably because I had so much damn time that I cleaned it so much. But it was spotless, you know? I didn't just, like, dry off and throw the towel on the floor. I, like, actually hung it up on the rack, you know? Or, you know, I did laundry and folded my linens and put it away instead of just living out of a laundry basket, you know? Of clean clothes. I'd go down there and wash it and dry it, and the clothes would be still a little bit wet sometimes, you know? I mean, these are stupid things, but they really are, like, functioning maintenance of real humans, you know? And I'd make my bed, you know, I'd clean my sheets once every week or every other week, you know, I hung my coat up when I came in, I, you know, took my shoes off by the door, things like that. I mean, just, I did things, you know, because I cared about my home, I cared about that stuff, and I felt safe there, you know. I can remember having, like, certain books by my bed, like, you know, my 12-step meditation books and, you know, things like that, my 12-step literature, and I would sit there in bed and I would read it, and it made me feel cozy, and I had candles, you know, and the apartment smelled good, and, you know, and so I think, and I would make fires in the fireplace and whatnot, and I think what happened was that, you know, all those years before, like, when I just wanted to be at home with my mom, and I just didn't want to grow up, and what I really realized is, because I think what it was that I was so afraid of leaving home, because home was all I ever knew. But what I really realized when I got sober was, home is wherever I'm at. You know? Home is wherever I'm at. Home is how I make my place feel. You know, home is making the bed in the morning, the smell of a hot pot of coffee, you know? Hell, I've stayed in some hotel rooms and, you know, some Airbnbs and stuff that feel real homey to me. Not just homey, but they feel like home to me, you know? And I think today I know that home is where I'm at. So I don't feel that sense of loss as much today as I used to back then, you know, of being afraid to grow up and leave. I have felt, though, at many times in my life, this idea of wishing to stop time. Like I said when Pee-Pee was sick, how I feel now sometimes. It's like when things are going great, and it's Alex and I, you know, watching American Horror Story and joking with each other, and, you know, he's playing his game on his phone, and the dogs are sleeping on the couch next to him, and I've got candles lit everywhere, and, you know, it's like, those are the moments where I wish we could just stop time, and, like, nobody would get older, the dogs wouldn't get older, everything would just stay the same. But I also know that that's not possible. It's just not, you know? Wish it was. But I wouldn't get to experience new things, too, you know? I mean, the reality was, like, you know, with both of my exes, there were days that I just was like, I don't know how to move forward. I don't know how to put one foot in front of the other and just move forward and move through this. And I did. And I'm, you know, am thankful for the experiences that I had in my life today. I wouldn't want to be with them. I want to be with my husband. But, like, had those things happened and those relationships ended, I would never have met Alex and had the times I've had with him. I never would have got to know Pee-Pee or have Pee-Pee in my life. And I think Pee-Pee was probably my soulmate, you know? I know it sounds crazy, but that a dog's my soulmate, but I do. And, so I don't know what I think about the idea of stopping time, but sometimes I wish I could just for a little bit, you know? Did you ever see that movie? It's the English guy, he's got like red hair, and he and his dad can go back in time. I can't remember what it's called, About Time or something like that. And it's with Rachel McAdams too, that was in, I think it's with her, and that was in Mean Girls, you know. You guys, it is such a fantastic movie. Have you ever seen that movie? Oh, it's so good, but so sad too. So sad. Such a great movie. And speaking of time, I think it's time to listen to the audiobook Scandal at Salty Dog. So I'm gonna get off here now, and I will be back tomorrow for September's last vlog of the month. Can't believe it. Seems crazy. And we are now well into fall. Summer is long gone. And yeah, I hope that you, if nobody else has told you this today, oh my God, the battery just started flashing, which means it's about to die. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Thursday. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya! Oh, and if you want to hear it, and if you need to hear it, or if you just stuck around, one more I love you. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!